The information contained on the Crypto Sports Collector website and social media is for general information and educational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for legal, commercial, and/or financial advice from a licensed professional. The business of online investing is a complicated matter that requires serious financial due diligence for each investment to be successful. You are strongly advised to seek the services of qualified, competent professionals prior to engaging in any investment that may impact your finances.
Crypto.
So the question is, NBA Top Shot just came out with a bidding system. What do you think about that? So my response there is I haven't fully thought it through, but I think one of the things, my initial reaction to it is it is a bit weird, because typically in like an auction or bidding type of situation, usually it's for something that's like very rare or like one of a kind, or not a lot of, right? And in this case, it looks like the bidding feature is on any NFT, on any NBA Top Shot NFT and any serial number. So like the whole population set of NFTs is out there. So I don't know how that dynamic one is going to work. And what I'm really looking at, and what I mean by I don't know how it's going to work, is how it's going to change the valuation of these NFTs. Like that's a whole new thing that comes into play in terms of valuation. But in a lot of ways, that actually brings more, I don't know if it's interest, but it brings more real-time valuation to it in a lot of ways. Because what's happening right now in very early days of Top Shot is people would just set a price. And even though the price was not really grounded in something that actually made sense. So people just kind of looked at other prices and just said, oh, I kind of think my price should be here. Or in some cases, some people are just setting their market price like really, really absurdly high. They're like, oh, I got a really low serial number, less than, I don't know, 50 out of 300 or something, like in a rare pack or something like that. And they're just setting it to like some absurd price, like $50,000, maybe hoping somebody is going to buy it, right? Even though when you look at the other serial numbers that are around it are not commanding anywhere near that much. So the pricing on NBA Top Shot has always been, before the bidding, has always been a bit weird, because it's up to the community to set the price, and there's no control or regulation off of that, right? And so the only way you could truly value something is you have to look at the buying patterns over time of when people actually bought it, which naturally that makes sense, but you can't look at prices themselves to really be a reliable gauge on the value of the NFT. With bidding, now people can more easily, you've removed the barrier, you've made it easier for people to go after NFTs that they value, right? And so if you own number 10 Chris Paul for whatever moment, and you priced it at like an absurd price, like $50,000, and I'm like, well, you know what, it's really worth like $500 or whatever, you're probably now more apt to give it to me, because you probably set the $50,000 at some absurd price just to hope somebody clicks it and maybe buys it. I don't know, whatever your reasoning for setting it at an absurd price is. But now you've got a real deal in front of you, like really somebody's willing to pay you $500, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like you've made the barrier for these transactions to occur easier to occur, whereas before, if you set it at $50,000 without a bidding system it's just gonna sit there. No one's gonna buy it unless they accidentally click it. Do you know what I mean? So it's you've just made that barrier easier, and so I think in that way, values of moments are going to become a little bit easier to understand. I've got to think about it a little bit more, but I feel like there's something there in the fact that you've made this transaction easier for people, for buyers being able to approach sellers with this is what I value your NFT at, can we make a deal, right? And so you've made that whole transaction easier. I think that's a good thing for Top Shot in general, but I think specifically from a valuation standpoint, it allows you to get more data, because now these transactions are going to happen more often versus without a bidding system. Maybe these NFTs are just sitting there because the prices don't look they're not realistic. In a lot of cases, might not be realistic prices in the marketplace, particularly for like very rare or legendary or rare moments. I mean, it can happen with common moments as well too, but that's my thinking. I don't know if the bidding will shrink or expand the market. I think you're just eliminating a barrier to entry for motivated buyers to convince sellers to sell them their moments. Whereas before, if you don't have a bidding system, that transaction would not be as easy to happen or may take longer to happen. Because when you've got somebody saying, I'm a willing buyer, you as a seller are more apt to pay attention to that. Whereas if that is not happening, if like they did not build that feature in, there's no way for buyers and sellers to quote unquote talk to each other. And so in that sense, I'm not sure the market shrinks necessarily. In fact, I think it might expand a little bit more, because now the action can be taken by a seller that's motivated versus before, where there's no bidding system. It's up to the buyer to just put something out there, and whether or not that's grounded, their price is grounded in reality or not, it's up to the buyer. So it's almost like a one-way market. I put something out there, and whether it's priced right or priced wrong or priced under, like you will only know that unless you would only get confirmation of that price when somebody actually transacts. Now with a bidding system, that is it's almost like you're getting a little bit more real-time feedback, if I can kind of use those words to describe it. So I'm not sure the market shrinks. I think the market maybe expands a little bit, but I think the take-home point here is that because you've made the transactions easier to do, motivated sellers can pique the interest of buyers more easily. And so more transactions, I think, are likely to happen as a result of it.